Hey folks, welcome to Tuesday, the 8th of February 2022. Good morning for energy. BP coming out with a whopper beat, best earnings in 8 years this morning. Also, in the energy space, we see 88 Energy has been granted their license for drilling from the Bureau of Land Management in Alaska, which is pretty amazing as ConocoPhillips last week had their license revoked. So you've seen ASX close for 88 Energy up about 6%. So it's good. I don't think you're going to have crazy skyrocket prices today on the U.S. session on 88, but it's certainly positive and all guns blazing now through to the end of February for this share. So let's really look at these charts, and we don't really have a very spicy day on the cards in terms of data. Not much going on. Um, as we look across the slate for today, it's really anemic. You're going to get, let's see, the most interesting thing coming out is the Red Book prior 15.8% out of the US session, or it's out of the US last week. So EIA short term energy outlook out at 5 o'clock, Red Book out at 5 to 2. So just 5 minutes before oil opens there, and of course the APIs tonight at 9:30. But realistically, something that I should front run this whole thing with is nat gas. Is you're seeing this whole situation with Ukraine and Russia de-escalating. The hot air and the hot gas is dropping out of this, right? So last week we had an absolute belter of a push up here on the around 9 o'clock. In nat gas, we were up about 12.5% on this push. But really, what we've seen, and thanks to CNN reporter Matt Lee for really driving questions at some of the U.S. administration, Security Council spokesman about what they're seeing in Russia and pushing for the proof. And you know what? It's not there. Coupled with Macron de-escalating the situation, personally, there's a good picture of Macron and Putin there overnight meeting at this massive dining table. They are literally 40 feet away from each other, looking like they're having a discussion. Um, but either which way, I think the risk sentiment is only slightly coming off nat gas. Right here, we are in the 60 minutes. You seen yesterday, down here, can't close the gap down on the overnight trade, and we're weak now, holding below the 20 and the 100 EMA, respectively. There at 4 spot 338 and 4 spot 294 for the 100. So I think a touch on the gap is definitely on the cards. A close on the gap, I don't know. As Macron tries to, talk the situation down, you have to realize that, well, if the talks maybe make sounds like they're not going so well, then you're really going to be in a situation where maybe the market will actually start to price in a little bit more risk on gas. You've seen Joe Biden making statements last night as well that the US stands ready to fill any gaps in the European natural gas network supply network. It all just looks a bit too suspicious to me that the US are kind of standing in the way of Nord Stream 2 and tying it up with certification and regulation and la la la. They're also stoking media fears on Russia invading Ukraine and potentially Europe. And at the same time, they're saying, hey, you want some nat gas? So I don't know. I don't know. Listen, we're just here to look at these markets and see how we can make money out of trading them. All right. So looking at nat gas on the daily picture, um, there is a nice base here down around 3 spot 913s in the trend. Of course, this trend is actually needs to be updated here, but it's actually from a weekly picture. Might actually have to update this, and let's go out to the weekly and have a look. And it just might take some time here. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. loading 10,000 days of tick data is never a small feat. All right, so I have to update this weekly picture here, and this is our trend on the H22 contract. All right, we'll go back to the daily. So you can see, really, I think if we do rewind back down onto the 100 weekly exponential moving average and to around that trend area, that you are going to find some buyers. Um, just coming through now in the daily chart. So yeah, really down into that 913s area for support. And then I think we can get on with getting on to the upside a little bit more, but we are coming into the spring and summer months. Injection period is sort of coming to an end. That's when nations kind of and companies stop sort of storing up their nuts for the winter, and they kind of nat gas really trades on more summer demand issues, right? So and obviously then southern hemisphere winter injection, right? But that's kind of coming to an end now. So that's a little bit too much of a talk on nat gas as we then look to the US session, looking at the Nasdaq. uh, it's underwater, looking at the SPOs. um, Interestingly enough, yesterday any of these buyers trying to get, and I was one of them, trying to get a push back up on. I was actually buying specifically here, leaning on the bottom of the gap, and you can see. I'll bring this up full screen here. You can see that buying on the bottom of this gap and angling for a trade across to close the gap again. You look, the gap isn't open anymore. Really, I'm actually gonna delete this now. The gap isn't open anymore, but I was risking off of that level there yesterday to try and get longs and get into the 100 EMA, but no such luck. The market just was very, very tight yesterday. So um, those gaps, if you keep them on, they can be quite nice areas to risk off of. But you can see a little bit of, actually it's quite clear now, but you can see there's a little bit of compression going on at the moment here. Just get my my trend up here. You see a little bit of this going on right now. So for me, I don't know, up or down, up or down. It's up to you really, but I would be saying that we need to get back and test the 100 and then continue with more downside actually at the moment. So these markets are getting quite tricky in this tight range. Same on the Nasdaq, bid up into the 14,810 half. I thought it would actually push to the bottom of this gap that remains open on the Nasdaq, but no such luck yesterday. Sellers chowing down on 14,810 half. I think they're looking for 14,370 and three quarters just below. The Dow, it's really sitting in here, isn't it? The 20 EMA, the 200 or the 100 EMA, the 50 EMA. This is a real knot for the Dow, and you did see kind of the Dow. It's really slowly following the SPOs yesterday, is all I could imagine it was doing. Not really interested in lifting its head up and then to kind of work in the range, higher range, and then just straight back down. So this market, we're compressing. I think we do need to push up higher actually to get over kind of last week's highs, and then I'll be looking for a failure to come back down again. For me, it looks like we may fall out of this structure, but certainly not this week. Probably next week when we get well, actually, PC or CPI, is it CPI or PC prices? Um, this week, let me just confirm that for Thursday. It is Friday, Thursday, CPIs. Yeah, CPIs on Thursday and core CPIs coming out at 1:30. So really, Thursday is the day to wait to trade these markets. If you ask me, a little bit of scalping on the short side and that gas I think is warranted. And oil, yeah, oil is just hanging out here above 90.37s. I actually am not a fan of initiating new longs up here. I want to see how the buyers react to 90.37s. But actually, from discussions this morning, I like 88s, just below 88s actually for the longs. And that would be a retest on this area that we've marked up here. So, let's kind of mark this up in grey instead of the horrible yellow. And let's see how we trade. So I'm just going to, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is not investment or trading advice. I'm going to be looking at longs around there when we do trade down on that pullback. But more prices, higher prices is generally, what I'm looking for. Only looking to work on the longs. I could be enticed into a short around just about 20 ticks above where we are now. Maybe a reversal back on pivot, but wouldn't be looking to stay in that for too long. Okay, that's it from me for today. Please do like and subscribe to stay tuned to us in YouTube. And listen, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Cheers.